Yeah, I'm just doing something special.
Live.
No, we're not. This is pre-recorded.
I mean, we're alive right now.
No, we could actually do like a live thing too if we wanted to.
Live makes me super nervous.
Why?
Because it's live. There's no takesies backsies on that one. There's no editing, no magic.
Here,
Yeah. Do you know how many I delete from our podcast?
I mean, it has to have gotten better though.
It hasn't.
Dang it.
It's like we are both terrible about it. Every time our brain lags, it's like,
Hey,
I'm sorry. The little spin wheel comes up.
I'm sorry that I'm running Netscape on dial-up. Okay, that's my excuse.
I got the AOL disc. I got to insert down.
Oh my gosh, dude! Do you remember like having to have multiple discs for games?
Dude,
like Oregon Trail was like multiple floppy discs.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
There's 3.
Was it 3?
3 floppy discs.
I'm trying to remember.
Had to play Oregon. At least the one that we had when we were playing it. Because I'll grant you this. I'm pretty sure that our computer lab teacher ripped like he stole Oregon Trail off of other floppy disks. He was an incredibly intelligent like computer dude. And so I'm pretty sure he just like ripped copies.
Early piracy,
and he just ripped a bunch of copies. And
see, like that was like
every computer had them though.
That was like a reward when we were in school, like where like, oh, you did such and such on this, you can go play Oregon Trail for 20 minutes, and it's like, sweet. How many times can I die of dysentery on this one trip?
In computer class, that's what it was. Is we because it was typing class, right? Like when we were in high school, and
see, we never did that.
Oh, okay.
It was literally a computer out in the hallway. That we like, because I think I might have.
That's hilarious. You guys, instead of detention, you guys had like the reward zone.
Yeah,
it's not a bad idea.
Well, and if I think I probably talked about it on the podcast, but I know I've talked about it before. But like I think it was 2nd grade, we had like a bunch of different books that we had to read. Like we had to read so many books off of this list, and then we had to take a test on that book.
Right.
And you had to put in the correct floppy disk for the book, and you had to answer questions, and then it printed off your answers and stuff like that.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, those are all out in the hallways. And then like I remember because my dad, growing up, he was a principal and superintendent.
Yeah.
So one of the teachers used to live behind where we did. So when I was down at the school down the hill, instead of walking home, I just got a ride with her on the way home, and I would sit out there and play Oregon Trail and Math Blasters and
Math Blasters.
Okay,
dude, I forgot about Math Blasters. That's great.
Okay, and I was that kind of leads me into a really good kind of a segue question. What was the most modern game, like the first modern game that you remember playing?
What do you mean by modern?
So like 3D graphics, stuff like that, like.
The first one that I recall playing that I would like think was more modern in that essence is if we're using like the 3D graphic kind of deal and stuff like that, Doom might have been.
Okay.
It was either Doom or there was my good family friend Mike Roop had a game. It was a racing game.
Okay.
That was really cool, and he had it on his computer at his house, and so when I was over there hanging out and stuff like that, we would play that game together. That was like that. That one and Doom seemed to be like the first 2 that I can like really recall being like, like you said, modern. Yeah,
mine would be Doom, of course. Doom or the Star Wars variant. I believe it was like Star Wars Special Forces. Was that, or there was a game that I had. It was a Discovery Channel game. It was called Disaster Transport. No, that's the disaster, like weather disaster or something like that.
Discovery Channel game?
Yes.
That's impressive.
So essentially, like you had to go and it was like a puzzle solving game, but it was like a static image and like text on the screen, things like that. But you had like you could advance and go back. But yeah, those were like the 2 that I remember. And then on console, Donkey Kong Country.
Oh
like, I remember playing that on Super Nintendo and being like, "This is amazing!" Like because it was like 3D modeling and everything, and like it looked good.
Yeah.
Because like I mean, Star Fox, like even Star Fox 64 graphics were not that great. Right. But yeah,
like, well, that's like the OG Solid Snake. Going back playing Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that. Like I remember like the very first one. That was about like my first experience with the whole like 3D world. Mm-hmm. And man, you talk about a learning curve. Like to go from me being like a 2D guy and playing all the 2D games on the OG Nintendo, And then getting my hands on something like that, I was like, my brain for the longest time would not function with the 2-stick capability of a 3D world.
Oh yeah, like moving in 3 dimensions as opposed to like a side scroller.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Platformer. Well, like even with Donkey Kong, like it was a platformer. It was a side scroller. I remember playing like Crash Bandicoot for the first time, where it was a side scroller, but then it had levels where you had to run at the screen.
Yeah, Spyro. You ever play Spyro?
I did not play Spyro.
My sister had Spyro when we were younger, and that was one of the ones that it wasn't like super early on for me, but I remember that kind of being one of my big, because like with Spyro you could like glide and stuff in the air, and I remember like that being like a first kind of, oh, this like opens up a whole another world of like movement style and stuff, and so I remember some of those things kind of shaking me up like pretty early on.
Do you want to hear something that's going to make you mad?
Sure.
You want to know the first Mario Kart I ever played?
Oh, gosh.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch.
Seriously?
It's the first Mario Kart I've ever played.
And you've never played Smash Bros, right?
Correct.
That's crazy to me. That's just nutty.
See, I played a lot of CTR, Crash Team Racing.
Yeah.
So I know it's basically the exact same thing.
Sure,
but yeah, I never grew up playing Mario Kart.
Yeah. Huh. Or Mario Kart. Huh. That's crazy. Because like I think the first time that I ever experienced Mario Kart was the Wii.
Okay.
So I wasn't like super early on. I never played like the old school ones and
right.
stuff on the old consoles, but the Wii was the first one. We got the wheel to put the Wiimote in and everything to be able to drive it. Matter of fact, we still got it downstairs. But Sky's been begging me to hook it back up so we could play it some more. So we might have to fire it up soon.
I dug out my Super Nintendo, and the boys were like, "We need to do this. Like, we need to like get the adapters, because it still has the old analog coax cable connections and things like that." And I'm like, "Ooh, I gotta buy an adapter," but like, because I have like Madden '96.
Jeez.
And so
some throwbacks there. That's good.
And
stuff.
like the original NCAA football.
Back around to Oregon Trail, when I was talking about the computer lab stuff, we were doing typing in class. It was like the old school. We had like the cardboard things that they had made to cover your finger so you couldn't like see what you were typing and stuff. But yeah, like as soon as you type fast enough to pass your tests and stuff like that, the teacher would walk over, check your score, write everything down, and then hand you a copy of Oregon Trail, and you could pop that joker in and go to town. See, so if you did it fast at the beginning of class, you got the whole class period to play Oregon Trail. It was awesome.
See, I think we had keyboard covers that were just black.
Yeah.
That they put over and.
Gotcha.
I mean, that was just.
They made janky ones out of cardboard for us. It was like cardboard and masking tape and just like a little like
a thing that slides over.
Half box, that they just set over top of the thing, and you'd see the kids like you lean way back in your chair. Sorry, I'm trying to get close to the microphone and do this at the same time, but like you're like laid way back so you can kind of see underneath just a little bit.
See, I would still stare at the keys. Like I memorized where all the keys were, so I would still stare at the keys and.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm pretty good. Like now I type pretty fast and stuff like that, but. The one, there's like certain keys that trip me up really bad, and I have to kind of look at my fingers and stuff. But yeah, let's fire this thing off.
All right. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Josh.
Recognize me?
No.
I got suspended from school because of Josh.
You're going to be there with me in every way imaginable, Josh.
Josh is truly in a trance, yes.
I went to high school with Josh, and I can tell you right now, he's a terrific kisser.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Josh, these are people's jobs we're talking about, Josh.
Josh walking in the door wasn't even close.
Josh, you are a muffin-snuggling pirate puncher.
Josh is a good guy. We can talk to him.
Please welcome Joshua. Josh.
Mason did say we have like one of the coolest podcast intros.
That's what I'm talking about, Mason.
All right, what do you got for me?
Oh man, I've got a story for you today.
Woohoo!
This is one of my favorite stories I've come across recently, so I had to share it with you. I don't even so this one's tough because I don't know how to begin the story.
Those are the best kind of stories.
Yeah, because this one it's got a lot to it. It's not going to take super long, I don't think, but it could take us super long for the purpose of making fun of what's going to happen in this story.
Commentating on the story.
So our story begins on October the 17th, 2016. It's my uncle's birthday, by the way. Shout out Uncle Justin. October 17th. He's much older than 2016 though. So anyways, October 17th, 2016, as the campaign cycle for the election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton was in full swing at that point in time, right? So this is election year. Everything's going crazy. There's all the election stuff is swirling. If you remember how crazy that time period was, because I don't know, at least for me, that seemed like one of the most contentious, and they're all contentious now since then. Yeah. But that was like one of the first years that I remember, like it being like over the top contentious in that sense. While the campaign stuff is raging on, people are getting tense about things. Some strange things took place in Amherst Junction, Wisconsin. That's where our story takes place.
Good old cheese and
good old Wisconsin.
Cows, yep.
Oddly enough, Wisconsin is the place that if I'm going to yell out anything random at any point in time, it's usually going to be Wisconsin. I don't know why. At some point in time, I just heard somebody do that, and I was like, that's kind of funny. So obviously, we'll be out in public in places, and Brooke will just hear me from like across the store and be like, Wisconsin! Just scream it out. So on the night of October the 17th, then 32-year-old Christina Ferguson, I hope that her middle name is Turd. It's going to be fitting. You'll see why.
Oh, no.
But at that point in time, 32-year-old Christina Ferguson stormed into a meeting at 9:30 p.m.
Who has a meeting at 9:30 p.m.?
I'd like to think that this is a meeting that's just been going on.
Okay.
Which makes it even funnier, because if you're built like me, and you've been sitting in a meeting that started at like 6:30, and you're still there at 9:30,
you lost me.
You're already done.
Yeah,
right?
You lost me.
So she storms into the meeting. Witnesses who were attending the meeting claimed that she entered the meeting holding and here's where it starts to get really funny, holding a family-sized jar of low-sodium, creamy, natural Jif peanut butter. It gets better.
Isn't it Gif peanut butter?
I hate it. Well, guys, it was a great run on this podcast. We'll see you later. No, so she comes in with this giant family-sized jar of Jif peanut butter. Now, Christina, when she came into the meeting, was shouting about how much she hated Donald Trump.
As one does.
Armed with the giant jar of peanut butter, she comes into this meeting and she's screaming about Donald, how much she hates him, how much she can't stand, like she wants Hillary Clinton to be president, all this kind of stuff, right? So she's just going off. After a brief conversation with the people who were attending said meeting and some threatening gestures with the family-sized jar of peanut butter.
Okay, wait. Pause.
Okay.
What kind of threatening gestures do you make with a jar of peanut butter?
Okay, none of the stories that I read about this, and there are multiple because this is in police reports. You'll hear more about that in a second. But according to all the things I said, there was never specified. But I'm just assuming,
like throwing it. Like
I'm assuming top is off of the peanut butter jar, and that she is just waving it in threatening manners. Like,
who's allergic to peanuts right now? Come here. Just
she's like, you got a peanut allergy?
Just like the
I
ash.
hope you got your EpiPen on you.
Just like the Ash Wednesday, they're just smearing it across people's face. Like either that or like Mufasa.
I thought the same thing. It's like, what is a threatening gesture with a family-sized jar of peanut butter, right? She's just like menacingly like staring at you and then like waving it in front of your face. I don't know what's going on. So she's screaming about Trump. She's waving around this giant thing of peanut butter, and she was kindly asked to leave the meeting, as you can imagine, right?
Yeah, I mean, totally.
So
yeah,
they're just like, ma'am, would you mind just please going away? Once she was gone, many of the attendees of this meeting found themselves curious as to what had happened to Miss Ferguson. So they walked to the parking lot to see if they could spot her and just kind of make sure she was okay, she was gone, because she definitely seemed like something was off. And they did spot her in the parking lot.
With a family-sized jar of jelly.
Smearing her family-sized jar of peanut butter all over 30 cars. So she is gone now from the building that she was asked to leave to the parking lot and is covering their cars in peanut butter. So naturally, like I mentioned before, the cops were called.
As they should.
Which I want the recording of this 911 conversation is like, just can you imagine, like, 911, what's your emergency?
Yes.
There's a woman that stormed into our meeting that has a family-sized jar of peanut butter, and they're like, it's not illegal to carry peanut butter, and they're like, nah, she's now rubbing it all over our cars. And it's like,
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
yeah, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and say that again. What's the location of your emergency and all this kind of stuff. So I just want to hear what that 911 call sounded like. So cops are called. The cops arrive at the location where the meeting was. And when they get there, they start asking questions.
Naturally.
Has anyone been harmed? It's like,
no, but she was waving that jar around like pretty threateningly.
it's like, right. Yeah. So they're like,
I don't know why I
nobody's
went
been harmed and
Southern
stuff like
accent on
that. But some of the people followed her because, they got mad at her, so she ran away. Some of the people followed her that they saw that she went to her apartment, which was nearby. So she shares an apartment with her boyfriend. She has now gone to the apartment and is inside. So they tell the cops this. The cops go over to confront Christina. So they go knock on the door. Christina and her boyfriend answer the door. Her boyfriend is standing in front, like talking to the cops. She is behind him. And so her boyfriend attempted to provide an alibi for Christina, which I'm like, this is hilarious because, like, dude, why? Like, you got witnesses standing out there in the parking lot. They brought the cops to your door because they know exactly where she is.
Right. And
what
it's
she looks like.
I mean, for one, she didn't need it to be crunchy because she was already nuts.
That's good. That's a good. Solid play on words there. So here's where it gets even funnier. Like the whole way through this thing, it gets funny. So her boyfriend is trying to give an alibi for her, saying that she had been there with him all evening, that Christina had not left. Right, Christina, and here just imagine this. Boyfriend is standing at the door,
right,
talking to the cops, trying to tell them she's been here with me all evening. Christina is standing behind him, still holding the jar of peanut butter and licking peanut butter off of her fingers as her boyfriend is trying to give. Exactly. She's back there just looking the cops in the eyes, licking peanut butter off of her fingers and stuff like that. I swear it wasn't me. Like what on earth? So the cops place Christina under arrest.
No.
Yeah. And shocker of the whole story, they immediately give her a breathalyzer test.
I mean,
and here's where, get this. She takes the breathalyzer test and it yields a blood alcohol level of 0.218.
Homegirl was tanked.
She was hammered drunk. So for all of our listeners out there, if you don't know, you're not allowed to drive a vehicle if your BAC is a 0.08, a 0.08. Hers was a 0.218, which means that she is more than double, like way over double, the legal limit.
Of a Leonard Skinner concert.
She's
hammered
drunk. So the alcohol did assist her a little bit in being honest with the police, though, as she confessed to them, not only doing the stuff with the peanut butter, storming into the meeting, all these things, but she also filled them in on just how much she loved Hillary Clinton, how much she hated Donald Trump, and how much she was tired of all the campaign stuff, which, like, okay, we're all on board for. Like, exactly. Christina, we get you on that one, right? We're all on your team as far as being tired of the election stuff and everything. Maybe not the best way to handle it.
No, I could think of a few different ways to handle that situation, but
in her own defense, Ferguson also added, peanut buttering is better than firebombing. And Trump, this is what she followed it up with, and Trump plans on firebombing everybody in other countries.
I mean, she does have a point.
I mean, yes, I will agree. Peanut buttering people, which I love the fact that we're now, peanut buttering is a verb of something that we can do to people. So peanut buttering people is better than firebombing people. Christina, yet again, we agree with you.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally on board. We are tired of the election stuff, and we think that it is far better not to kill people with firebombs, but instead to peanut butter them.
Yeah,
we're all on board.
Again, unless they are allergic to peanut butter, but
I think that we should start using peanut buttering as a more common threat. So, anyways, are you ready for the big twist?
But wait, there's more.
There is more, and it makes it even more humorous. Which, like, all of it just gets better and better. So the big twist is this: while there was a Trump rally going on nearby that night,
Right.
which Christina thought that she was interrupting, Miss Ferguson had actually stormed into a meeting of the local environmental organization called Tomorrow River Conservation Club. This was likely a group of people that were meeting together to discuss cleaning up a local river, when a drunk woman with a family-sized jar of Jif peanut butter stormed into their meeting and began to rant about Donald Trump.
Okay.
And how much he sucks.
Okay. So, like, I get okay, homegirl, you're 0.2 on the BAC, hammered drunk. There are going to be significantly less people at this water conservation meeting than a presidential rally.
And not a single Trump sign, Trump hat, MAGA, nothing in sight, right? Like it's not like these conservationist people are sitting in there just chanting Donald Trump or anything like that. There's nothing to signify that these people might have been the ones that should have been yelled at about Trump.
Right, not an orange man on stage with a toupee, like nothing.
She literally stormed into a river conservation meeting to scream at people about Donald Trump. I just can you imagine the chairman of this like conservation thing is sitting there behind his little desk.
All right,
thing.
so now we're going to talk about our weekly cleanup on the Riverway, and
That's right.
what is it?
We've got a specific spot that we know some otters are living in.
Let
we
me
want to make
tell
a
you
safe
about
space.
Donald Trump and how much.
I'm sick and tired of this Donald Trump, and I've brought a family-sized jar of peanut butter to prove it. She's like, you're one of those MAGA people waving peanut butter in their face and stuff. And they're like, ma'am,
Could you imagine how much funnier it would have been, though, if she would have, like, mid-rant realized what she was doing and where she was, and be like,
or at least just gone like, wait,
oh,
are you guys are you the Trump rally? And they're like,
no, that's like next door.
We're the river conservationist team. You're gonna want to go next door. Yeah, and the funny thing is now you've got all these people that are in the river conservationist thing whose cars have now been smeared with peanut butter. Christina's gotten herself arrested, and
that's quite the smear campaign.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That is quite the smear campaign. So here is there were several quotes, right, from different people that were involved in this incident. My favorite comes from Deputy Chief Dan Contos, I think is how you say his last name, Kontos. Deputy Chief Dan Contos was quoted as saying, "Fortunately, it wasn't chunky peanut butter, so the vehicles didn't get scratched. Thank you for your service, Dan. We appreciate you, man." That is, and I didn't give you the name of it right up front because I wanted to save it, but that is the story of the Wisconsin Peanut Butter Bandit.
Nice. Like that's on par with the wet bandits from Home Alone. Like or the sticky bandits or what that
number one, what a
hilarious.
great name to be known by for the rest of your life.
Right.
The Peanut Butter Bandit.
Are you
in partnership with this though, right? It's like she should have immediately gone back and told her boyfriend, like, you're now the Jelly Bandit. We're getting 2 more friends that are going to be the Bread Bandits. And
we're in this together.
We're from now on, every time there is an election cycle, we're storming in the meetings. We're covering cars in peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like, gosh, can you imagine like how you could capitalize on that?
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
If I was her, I mean, this seems like a negative thing, right? Because now she's got a police report and all this stuff on her file. I would turn this into a money-making deal. I'd be like, I am the Peanut Butter Bandit. And if nothing else, if I'm her, I'm calling up
Jif, calling up.
I'm calling Jif. I am calling Hillary Clinton and being like, listen, you or any Democrat that needs me on the campaign trail, you guys can claim that you've got the Peanut Butter Bandit. I will carry my family-sized jar of Jif peanut butter with me everywhere I go. I'd have merch, like T-shirts with a giant jar of
and
Jif.
like the old school like little mask over the jar.
Over the jar and like some slogan about like when you're fed up, you know.
At least it's not chunky. I don't like That'll cost extra.
It just said, at the bottom it says creamy, so you don't scratch the cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Man,
That'd be
great.
so good to capitalize on that. But, anyways, I like when I was reading through a bunch of different random stories, that one came up, and I was like, that is
Nice.
one of the most solid stories I've read in a long time. So it was good stuff.
Speaking of capitalizing on promotions,
Go on.
why don't we talk about our sponsor?
All right, let's talk about our sponsor. As you guys have heard us talk about many times before, we are sponsored by the Salt Collective. We love the Salt Collective. They help us out with our social media for the podcast. The Salt Collective is a company that was created to help small businesses and nonprofits to be able to not only organize and more efficiently run their businesses, but also to promote themselves online and in various different advertising spaces. And so we want to encourage you, if you're a small business owner or if you know someone who is, if you are working with a nonprofit or you know someone who runs a nonprofit, please pass on this information to them and tell them to check out the Salt Collective at remainsalty.com or on their Facebook or Instagram pages. Again, that's the Salt Collective. You can find them on there, and they can show you all the stuff that they can do. They can talk to you about how they could help your small business or your nonprofit organization. And again, we love them. We know many of our friends over at Silver Creek Repair, our friends at Pioneer Cattle, Marianne's Closet, who's right here in the town that we record in. So many different places that we know of are already using the Salt Collective services, and we would encourage you to do the same. So thanks again to the Salt Collective, and check them out at remainsalty.com.
All right. I also have a story.
Uh-oh. I love
Because,
stories.
we just kind of wrapped up in our last episode, the Ohio's world's largest.
Yeah, we
things.
talked about Big Muskie, which was the kind of final capstone on
Right.
the whole world's largest thing for us.
So there's also, have you heard about the world record event that was in Cleveland in 1986?
I can't say that I have.
So you've never heard of Balloon Fest 86?
Balloon Fest 86. I want to say that I vaguely know something about this because of one of those crazy one of those things on either Instagram or YouTube that shows you like clips from different things. I want to say that I saw a clip from this at one point in time,
Okay.
but I don't know much about it though.
Okay, we're going to kind of pivot from turning a positive light on Ohio to some of Ohio's blunders.
Nice.
Balloon Fest 86 was a fundraiser event in Cleveland, Ohio, held on September 27th, 1986, in which the local chapter of the United Way, a great fundraising opportunity and organization that helps a lot of people, set a world record for launching almost 1.5 million balloons.
Okay. They set a world record for launching. Meaning
Yes.
They released
They released almost 1.5
million balloons.
balloons, yes.
Just up into the air?
Yes, up into the air.
Was
Kind of. We'll get into it.
All right, let me ask this just preliminary question,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll let you just keep rolling. Was there, outside of the fundraising aspect of this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'm assuming that it was like buy a balloon for $1.
Yeah, so I have like that
Okay,
in here.
outside of that, was there a purpose for the balloons?
Essentially just setting a world record, like letting this event know that, hey, this was a world record, Cleveland's a part of it, the United Way was a sponsor,
But they weren't carrying anything.
no, just
Didn't have like a seed to plant a tree.
nope, just a balloon.
All right, I can't wait to hear
Okay.
more about what happened with this.
Yeah, it's a ride. Okay, so the Balloon Fest was held in Cleveland in the southwest quadrant of Cleveland's public square. Measured 200 by 150 feet, 3 stories high, and covered in a net. So that's the volume of balloons. So you have
So this wasn't like individual people were all
No,
holding these balloons.
this
and
was
then they
all-
released, this was like a giant net
Yes.
that they had filled with balloons.
yes. So it's not like 1.5 million people holding balloons, or half of that holding 2 balloons.
Yeah. Because I was thinking like okay, you got maybe a quarter of that many people, and they're all holding like 4 balloons, or even
Right.
you multiply it down, right? Because a
Right.
human being could hold 50 balloons and
Yeah.
and release them, so you could divide it up. But
Yeah,
this
so-
is all in one big net.
Yeah. So inside of this net,
You said 3 stories tall.
yes.
Jesus.
So yeah. So inside of this net, there was about 2,500 volunteers consisting of high school students filling the balloons with helium. Yeah.
We're already winning putting teenagers
Oh, yeah.
in on this.
It was basically like an assembly line, nonstop, just, fill a balloon with helium, tie it, fill a balloon with helium, tie it. So They got T-shirts, so
Can you
that
imagine
helps.
how bad their fingers hurt?
Oh gosh, yeah.
I've done balloons for Easter at the church many times,
Right.
and just doing a couple hundred balloons, and
Yeah,
my fingers
exactly.
are dying. You think about millions, like 1.5 million balloons.
So the
gosh.
the United Way originally planned to release 2 million balloons, but they stopped at over 1.4
Yeah,
million.
because somebody on the ground was going to count every single one of them when you release them, anyways.
Right. So
It's like, guys, I think we could release 1,000 and nobody's going to know the difference.
Right. So children sold sponsorships to benefit the United Way at a price of $1 for every 2 balloons. Now in 2023, that was about $2.87 for 2 balloons.
Okay.
So on Saturday, September 27, 1986, you've been in Ohio for, 13 years now?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the weather like usually in September?
September is usually cool, but not frigid, and
There can be a lot of rain. Right?
rain, a little bit windy. Yeah.
So there was
especially up in Cleveland.
yeah, because you have the lake, you have
Yeah,
the
you're
weather
right there
off
on the lake. So
So with a rainstorm approaching, they're like, we need to do an earlier release of these balloons, so then that way.
sure.
At about 1:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a crowd of over 100,000 people gathered in downtown Cleveland for the event.
100,000 people.
Yep. So close to the 1.5 million balloons rose up from public square surrounding the Terminal Tower, which is the big tower in the center of Cleveland, surpassing the world record set by the previous year for the 30th anniversary of Disneyland.
Okay. Well, so did Disneyland released
I don't know
like
what the number-
1.2 million
Yeah.
or whatever, and they're like, all right, we're gonna beat Disneyland's record.
Right. So typically, latex-filled helium balloons. What do they do? Like if you're out and you accidentally let go of your balloon,
They're gonna rise.
They're
for
gonna
a
rise
while and get taken off by
yeah,
the wind.
and they usually stay out long enough that they'll gradually deflate before they come back to the ground.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, that was not the case.
This makes you wonder. Just a quick aside. It makes you wonder, like right now, how many helium balloons are just floating around the Earth in different places.
Right.
Because like they get sent up, you know what I'm saying? Like we never see them. Like occasionally somebody will go like, oh, I was walking today and I saw a helium balloon wrapped around my fence or something like that. But it's like you just kind of think about like there's a lot of balloons that get used in the world.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of them like kids, and I'm going to pick on kids a little bit because at the church we started doing the thing where you make kind of like the slip knot thing on the end of the balloon and put it around their wrist before they go out of the building, because every kid in the world, they walk outside and go whoop and like
I was traumatized as a kid. Like I got a balloon from a restaurant. I had it, let it go. I was bawling. I never accepted another balloon from a restaurant after that
Really?
morning. Yes. It was
You really did get traumatized
yeah,
by it. That's crazy.
it was at Chi-Chi's in Fairlawn. Yeah.
Of course it was Chi-Chi.
Yeah, of course.
So they released the balloons.
Yep.
You would
And-
think that they were going to float way up into the stratosphere, be up there for an indefinite amount of time, and then some kid in Africa is going to find them.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that wasn't the case. They ran into a cold front and rain, which caused them to drop directly back down to the ground while they were still inflated.
Now, when we say to drop directly back down to the ground,
Like it's not like a lead balloon, but like
right, but
they went up and then pretty much started coming right back down afterwards.
in downtown Cleveland,
In downtown Cleveland.
which is like best case scenario.
So the descending balloons clogged the land and waterways of Northeast Ohio for days following this event.
No way.
Many balloons were reported washed ashore on the Canadian side of Lake Erie, causing a lot of water
Still
pollution.
inflated, or I mean, I imagine it's probably both,
No.
but I'm just saying like.
Not necessarily inflated, but yeah, no. So,
But you think about the latex from 1.5 million balloons, even if they're popped.
Yep. So Burke Lakefront Airport, which is right
Yeah,
there,
I know where that is. Yeah.
shut down a runway for half an hour after the balloons landed. There were also multiple traffic accidents because of the
You
the
think.
balloons coming back down in the roadways.
Hey kids, hop in. We're going over to the arcade to go check out this really cool mall that we have in downtown Cleveland. As we're cruising along, that all of a sudden there's 1.5 million balloons just raining down through the intersections and stuff.
One sad tragedy that happened with this, unrelated. Two fishermen had gone out on September 26th and were reported missing by their families. They found the boat and they tried to search with a helicopter, but were met with an asteroid field of balloons.
No.
Tried to look for these two fishermen, and then
They're trying to save two guys' lives potentially, and these 1.5 million balloons kept the helicopter from being able to go. Dude.
Yep. So they were eventually found deceased.
So those two families.
Oh, the one sued the United Way, the United Way of Cleveland for $3.2 million. They then settled on undisclosed terms.
I just want to know what the meeting was like, where they determined that sending up 1.5 million latex balloons seemed like a good idea.
Right.
I want to know who pitched that, and they were like, just you imagine a bunch of bigwig CEOs sitting in a room, and some guy's like, hey, you know what we should do? We should break the world record for how many balloons we can send up in the air. And they're like, well, what was the old record? And he's like, oh, well, Disneyland did 1.2 million. And they're like, well, we could do 1.5 million easy, or 2 million is what they said.
Yeah,
originally.
2 million was the
We'll
original.
do 2 million balloons just to set it in stone. Like we're number one, right?
Right.
And then they're going like, all right, who should we have in charge of this? And they're like, high schoolers. That's the only way to go. We need to put high schoolers on the job.
Right. And have children sell these balloons.
Yeah. And we'll mobilize the workforce of kids, because that's always gone really well in human history. We'll put them out there on the streets, beating the streets, raising money for us. We're going to put high schoolers in charge of it. We're going to release all these balloons at the same time on a really crappy day for it to be releasing balloons. And by the way, maybe two guys out on a fishing boat that we're looking for, but who cares about them?
And it's one of those things where, like, one of the Coast Guard district manager came out in 2004 and said that Balloon Fest didn't have a result on these, but I really don't believe it, especially if you're waiting until 2024 to come out and say this, and this happened in 1986.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of, maybe, I don't buy it.
No.
But so, also...
There's so many questions.
Yeah, so balloons.
So many.
Also, balloons landed in a pasture in Cuyahoga County, which spooked the residents' Arabian horses, which allegedly suffered permanent injuries as well. The residents sued the United Way of Cleveland for $100,000 in damages, and also settled for undisclosed terms. Believe it or not, this fundraiser lost money.
Yeah. No. There's no way. Can you imagine it? So it's 1986, right?
Right.
So I was 4 years old in 1986. I remember what things were like when I was growing up. This is probably the kind of scenario that, number one, no one back then thought anything about the environment. No one thought anything about health. They probably paid the kids that sold the things in cigarettes. They're like, just here, we'll give you a pack if you'll go out and sell these things to people and stuff. That's probably where they lost their money. I was paying for the cigarettes. But I can't wrap my mind around, like, somebody thought that was a good idea. I get it. But was Cleveland already known as the mistake on the lake at that point in time?
I believe. Well, the lake, Cuyahoga River had already caught on fire multiple times at this point. So we'll talk about that in a later episode.
Yeah. But it just makes you think, like, it's like, they're like, all right, we're in the meeting again.
Right.
Some guy, maybe one dude, I'm just thinking, has the intelligence. He's sitting in the back of the room. He just kind of sheepishly raises his hand and he goes, hey, I was just wondering, do you guys think that this is actually a good idea? And he's like, can you imagine, like, what if these balloons don't really, like, fly the way we think they're going to fly?
Right.
What if the wind pushes them in the wrong direction? I mean, it's like, okay, trust me, I'm all on board for if the wind shifts north and it takes them all to Canada. It's Canada, right? Cool, like, whatever. And in the case of what happened, I can kind of see somebody being like, well, it is Cleveland.
Right, yeah.
It's not like Cincinnati or Columbus. Maybe we would kind of be like, all right, they're a little bit nicer towns.
Right.
A little bit cleaner looking.
You just got to watch out for gorillas in Cincinnati.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Harambe. Too soon.
All right, so...
but it is Cleveland. So,
yeah.
I mean, I could kind of see that.
So the 1988 edition of the Guinness Book of World Records does recognize this as the world's largest mass balloon release, with 1,429,643 balloons launched. Subsequently, the Guinness no longer measures balloon releases after this event.
You think? Even Guinness is like, we ain't touching this. No
Like,
more,
this
dude.
is stupid.
This is a one-time only.
Like-
If anybody else tries to break this record, we're just going to tell them, like,
No.
we cannot sanction
But
this.
the crazy thing is, and like, I don't know if you know this, you probably know this about the Guinness Book of World Records. Some people don't. You have to pay them to get this record.
Yeah.
Like, they have to be there. Like, you have to pay them to come out to do this record.
That's why there's so many like super obscure records in the Guinness World Book of Records, because there's just some Joe Schmo out there that's like, yeah, I'll pay you the however many $100 it is.
Right. Well, it's like Dude Perfect. Like, when they do all their stuff, like, they pay a guy to come out for multiple days, and they just do a bunch of stuff because they're already there. So, Balloon Fest 86 was the subject of a 2017 short documentary film called Balloon Fest.
Where's this documentary available at?
And
'Cause I know what I might be watching tonight.
the editor of the Cleveland newspaper, The Plain Dealer, RIP newspapers, notes after its release, reporting on the Balloon Fest became more negative. How does it become more negative than this?
Yeah, it's like you guys practically
You almost ruined an entire ecosystem.
you ruin the city, you ruin an ecosystem, you cause multiple car accidents, and potentially the death of 2 men.
Right. Like, how
Not to
can that
mention
be more
you
negative?
scared some Arabian horses, not to mention just, the whole laundry list of things that have gone wrong with this. This boggles my mind. I cannot understand how they got to the point where anybody was like, yep, this is a good, solid idea, guys. Let's move forward with this.
Right.
And they lost money on it.
Yeah. So it wasn't even a profitable event.
It's just wild to me.
It's on Apple TV for $2.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to pay some $2 for that.
Okay. If this is like legitimately the thing, it got a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
better
good.
than a lot of movies.
Better than a lot of documentaries, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have to watch that.
But it has like archival footage and everything. Might have something to do in the hotel room
I was about
this
to
weekend.
say, yeah. Yeah, because we're headed to the Frogman Festival, so
By the time you hear this, we've already been in.
yeah. Well,
but
we've been back, but yeah. So, but we're getting ready to go a week from today. We'll be at the Frogman Festival, so that's we might have to watch that night. That'd be great.
the overview of this, I'm just looking at on the Google page. In 1986, Cleveland releases 1.5 million balloons at once in an attempt to change its reputation.
In an attempt to change its reputation. Oh boy, what a that's true to Cleveland, man. Way to go, guys.
Yep.
You know what will make people feel better about the mistake on the lake is going to be us doing this release of 1.5 million balloons, which, by the way, I doubt that any human being is going to see other than the 100,000 people that are there for it. I get that.
I mean, obviously, like TV crews and stuff were there, but like,
sure, but you know that some guy sitting in Arizona,
like
that pops up on this thing and he's like, ooh. it's like nobody's watching that and going, man, I can't wait to go visit Cleveland. That place seems like it is the spot to be. People are watching that going like, this is pretty sad that this is what Cleveland has to do to try to get just a little bit of attention so that people might want to go there.
So, like, I was just looking at the IMDb and like, it's rated higher than Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That hurts.
It's rated just behind Point Break as far as stars go.
Bill and Ted's is great.
Let's see what else. Four Brothers, White Men Can't Jump. It's rated higher than, which,
I might be able to see that.
Van Wilder, John Q.
John Q is a good movie.
That was a 7.1.
That's a solid movie. It deserves better than that.
This documentary better be
It better be a really good documentary. I'm excited to see it now.
just behind the action adventure movie Speed.
Oh man, jeez, this thing got some high praise then.
Right, Varsity Blues. Like,
All right, we're gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna rent it. We're gonna watch it when we're on the trip.
It had a better rating than The Perfect Storm and Big Daddy.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
I mean, granted, there's a much smaller sample size, but still,
Big Daddy's a good.
75 people.
Perfect
average
Storm is a
rating.
good movie. They're both good movies.
Right. I'm not a huge Big Daddy fan, but
Really? Come on, man. Scuba Steve.
Right, like they're again, it's like you with Talladega.
Kangaroo song.
It's like you with Talladega Nights. Like I love Talladega Nights. It's just one of those things where it's like it's funner to me to like do the little one-liner quips from it than it is to actually watch the movie.
I just love to sing and play. Well, hop, 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 hop. What do you say? I love that.
With the stick and the bicycle tires, like
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hey, Frankenstein, what do you want for lunch today? 37 packets of ketchup. Kid wants 37 packets of ketchup.
But yeah, so that is Balloon Fest 1986.
That's amazing. It's still. I'm going to be thinking of questions about that for until we watch that documentary. Hopefully, it explains some of the questions that I have. Because man, I'm just going like my mind keeps going back to the boardroom.
Like
I just cannot imagine
who thought this was a good idea.
Yeah, like I can't imagine
I wanna
how
know.
they're the obstacles in my mind that pop up before we
Right.
even get started on this.
Well, like with this documentary too, like there's footage from the event.
That's crazy. I mean, because like I said, 1986, I can totally imagine somebody just
Oh,
being
yeah,
like,
for sure.
oh, latex is super healthy for
Yeah.
the environment, for us as human beings. Like what's the worst that could happen?
Well, I mean,
guys?
if you think about it, like if you're like in the moment, oh, the wind's gonna take it away. Who cares?
yeah.
But there's also
Like I said, send it to Canada. Who cares?
2 airports in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Could you not like? I don't know. Yeah,
Well, and you think about from where they were, one airport is northeast, the other one is southwest.
Right.
So no matter which direction the wind takes the balloons, there's a good shot that the airports are
Yeah.
catching those things.
Yeah, exactly. You have, well, even
Not
like
to mention our helicopter that's trying to find 2 guys that are fighting for their lives
in Lake Erie.
in Lake Erie. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Balloon
Man
Fest
alive.
'86.
Human beings, we're great.
Yeah,
We do some really awesome
people be
things.
peopling.
People be peopling. There's be peopling all over the place.
Yeah.
All right. You want one quick question for
Yeah,
us to wrap
let's
up
do
with
one
today?
quick question.
One quick question. So this one I thought was interesting, and I talked to Brooke about it for a little bit when I first discovered it. It's been on my list of hypotheticals for a while.
Okay.
But it just I think it's a short answer one. I think. No one else it might not be. So for $10 million, right? So
Okay.
all of us are around getting paid for something. Last time you were like $1 billion. And I'm like,
Subliminally,
you had me at $1 billion. You didn't even
Right.
say what the thing was. But no, this one's for $10 million. Would you read a manuscript of every word you've ever said out loud? That's really all there is to the question. The thing about it is it would be the longest book anyone has ever read, and it would likely take you years to complete it. But would you read a manuscript of every word that you've ever said out loud?
So like you're also talking to a person who's dyslexic and has ADHD. My problem is I would probably have to read.
Dude chose the hardest setting.
Your homeboy would probably have to read it out loud, so the book would be infinite.
Well, no. So I think it's at the
Up until that
That's the
point?
caveat. Is the moment
Okay.
that you started,
'Cause,
it
like-
no longer counts. Anything you say after that.
Because like
point.
I struggle to
Yeah.
read books, so like I might not take this one.
Well, and I think too, like this one's a tough one because you're kind of thinking through, like, you can't just read this. Like, you still have to do the things like
Right.
eat and shower
Yeah.
and all the things that we do as human beings. You still got to function somehow.
Right.
So even if you're banking on, like, okay, like in my case, if I was just like, all right, I think that my kid and my wife could bring in enough income to tie us over for the amount of time it would take me to read through this document, and I could spend all of my waking hours just reading that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
just working my way through it and stuff. I still got to do other things, but even if I could focus all of my time on that thing, it's still going to take a really long time to get through it. And it's $10 million on the other side, and I'm kind of like, I don't know if $10 million is worth the amount of time that I'm going to have to spend on it and the sacrifices that are going to have to be made by me, my family,
Right. Yeah.
to get through it and stuff. So that's where the hard part comes in. Because I'll be honest, my first reaction to this when I saw the question was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, I'm a pretty fast reader. I can get through things pretty quick, stuff, especially if I don't have to, like, think about it. But then I'm thinking about, too, you have to read everything you've ever said out loud.
Yeah. No, I that's a hard no for me.
And I know Josh Eatman from when I was like a knucklehead teenager, and some of the ridiculous things that came out of my mouth and some of the harsh things that you've said over time that just like hurt people and you wish you could take them back, that kind of deal.
Could you? Okay.
And you like, it's like, okay, if I can lock myself in a padded room where
Well,
nobody else can
that's
hear
what I
me.
was just thinking about. Like, what if you had to read it in public?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like if you're in earshot of any human being,
Oh,
there's
No
a
shot.
section of my life. I'm like, no way, dude, no shot.
especially with our humor, no shot.
Yeah, right, exactly. So no, that was one of the ones that I had probably had the hardest time being like yes or no.
Yeah,
like,
no,
back
I
and
mean,
forth.
that's-
But I think I've landed squarely on.
Yeah, that's a hard no for me. Like
not,
that's
not for 10 million. If it was $1 billion, now we're talking about a different ballgame.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
for $10 million, no, I'm gonna say I'm out.
I mean, because honestly, like in where we're at in our life, like 10 grand would be life changing to a point. Like,
Yeah.
like I mean, 10 million, but the risk is not worth the reward for me, at least. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, it would probably take me twice as long if we're being completely honest. Because, like I said, I do have like some dyslexia and I have ADHD. I have to read things like 2 or 3 times for me to actually.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's like I'm a pastor, and there's things that I said when I was young that that's like job loss type of stuff for me in that sense. Because like even though it's stuff that I said when I was younger, and I would never say those things again.
Right. It's still
I still feel like if somebody, like you said, if you're reading it in public and somebody hears you say those things, they're just like, you're done. No more of that. So
hashtag cancel culture.
yeah, right. For reals. All right, we ready to close this bad boy out?
Tell everybody what we would like them to do.
All right, we're going to keep it short, sweet, and to the point today. 5-star reviews, anywhere you can leave them. If you go on Apple Podcasts, if you're on Spotify, if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up on those videos, man. That helps a little bit there to get in front of more people. But 5-star reviews is what we're looking for. We want your comments. We want you to, if you're leaving a review, even if you got negative things to say, leave a 5-star review. So you'll help us out, and then tell us your critiques. We'd love to read those. Or give us positive things. Like I said last time, or one of the previous episodes, Joe Bodner left us like a really long, glowing review, which was awesome. Thank you, Joe. I know that Gabe, I know that my mom, I know that like a bunch of different people have left us good reviews and stuff. We really, 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 really appreciate that. So keep that up. But give us comments on social media and stuff as well. We put up posts about all the different topics and questions that we ask as we go through the weeks after each episode is launched. And so respond to those. Tell us, give us your feedback, give us your answers, give us more topics to talk about. We want to hear all of it. We love all those things. What else do we want them to do?
We want them to
follow us on social media
follow us
pages.
on social media. That's where we'll be posting updates. Like if we've been back from the Frogman convention, so we'll have posted stuff from that. Like if we do anything outside of the normal, just sitting and recording, we're going to throw them up on the social media platforms.
Yep.
Look for longer form content on YouTube, short form content on Instagram, Facebook, things like that. But that's going to be one place that we will do polls and all that kind of fun stuff. And we like interacting with you guys.
Yep. And if you haven't seen the stuff that we've probably already posted from Frogman going to the festival and doing some other stuff together, you're going to want to check those things out because we have some fun things involved in that for you as well. So we're just going to start throwing that out there and kind of keep it in front of you. But otherwise, we hope you guys will go check us out on all the different platforms and stuff. Leave us good reviews and comments because we want to hear them. And other than that, we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Wrapping up a podcast, episode 12.
Make it big pancakes.
After that, we
make it
got
pancakes.
9 more episodes, and then we are in the top 1%.
That's crazy.
I'm Brooke, and he's Pastor Josh.